I'm going to get started on project number 2. So I just opened up my data sheet, and in here we can see the names. We can see that there's some things that are definitely wrong with this data file here. Phone number looks incorrect, fax machine, date of birth. That looks unusual to see a date in that format. Income, cost of goods sold, shipping cost, those are incorrect. So let's start from the beginning here. So it says rename this data to customer data. But first I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a copy of this, just in case I mess up. Okay. Now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to rename this to customer data. Okay. And then it says let's split the name by a first name and last name. So what I did is I just inserted 2 spaces in between. I go over here and I say data, text to columns, delimited, space, finish. Okay. Well, let's look down the list here, and you can see that Samuel L. Jackson, his middle name is L, and so it's split on that L, and so that would be incorrect. So here I'm going to just manually go L and then move it to Jackson. Okay. We don't need this third column anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this all the way up to the top. This should be called first name. This is last name. Okay. Okay, so what we should also do here is we should select the data, all the data in the spreadsheet. Let's go ahead and make a table out of this. So I'm going to say format as table, and it says to use medium style number 9. My table has headers. Yes. Okay, that looks good. And then what else does it say? Okay, it says it wants us to remove the filter. Okay. And while I have everything selected, I'm just going to go and double click and just line things up. Okay, that looks a little better. Oops. Notice here that customer ID, they should have a space in between it. Date of birth should also have a space in between. Let's see if there's anything else. Okay, that looks good. Okay, now let's go to phone number and fax machine. That's an unusual format to see those phone numbers. I'm going to go to special, phone number, okay. Let's say date of birth. I'm going to say date. And this is going to be in the American format where it's month, day, and then year. And then also we have income, sales to customers, anything with currency. Let's go and switch this to how we're used to seeing currency. And we're going to have a dollar sign in front of it. Okay. All right, that looks pretty good. I'm just going to go ahead and it says columns O and R should be used. We should use the wrap feature because this column here is quite large. So I'm going to say wrap, and I can go over here and kind of make this smaller, appropriate. But now we only see total of all, but it's sales to customer. So I'm going to go over here and make this bigger. I'm going to do the same thing for O through R. Okay, so I'm going to wrap those two. And this. And I'm just going to go ahead and do this too. Okay, so let's center everything. Okay, this looks better. Okay, everything looks good. Let's see if we missed anything. Okay, everything looks fine so far. Okay, now it's time to populate the email address. I'm going to do this in 2 steps. It says we want to use the first name with a period in between, with the last name, with the @ sign, and then widgetworld.com. So the first step I'm going to do is I'm going to use the concatenation feature. Okay, and then I'm going to select the first name, comma, it's expecting another text, with quotation marks, a period, a comma, the last name, and I'm going to have a comma for the next text, quotation mark, at widgetworld.com. Okay, that looks pretty good. However, it says to use the lowercase. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to use the lower function, and I'm going to encapsulate everything. So this concatenation would be right in between the lower bracket. So now this is all lower. Okay, that looks good. Okay, also it says it wants us to freeze so that when we scroll down we can still see the address and the headers. And also when we scroll here we can also see the person's name. So how you would do that is you want this to be basically your pivot point. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to say freeze. I'm going to click at this point and I'm going to say freeze point, freeze panes. Okay. So now as we scroll down we can still see the address up here. And as we go left to right scroll we can see the first and the last name. So that completes part 1.